just sitting here practicing my scales. But am I doing it right? And is it even the thing I should be doing? I'm sitting here in my daily practice, and how am I gonna make the most of my time? It's just the everlasting question. Am I doing the right things at the right time? In this video, you will hear 7 deadly dangerous mistakes you could be making in your daily guitar practice. And if you make these mistakes, then you're gonna be wasting some time or doing some damage in some way. But if you avoid these and hedge against them, then you are just gonna be right on time. I'm Alan Matthews from Classical Guitar Shed, and let me tell you, number 1 mistake to avoid in your daily practice is failing to prepare ahead of time. And this means a few things. How do you prepare ahead of time? Well, 1, you want to have everything that you need to hand. Do you have a guitar with strings on it? Do you have any sort of music that you need? Do you have your metronome if you're using one, a tuner, everything that you need? Do you have it right close at hand so that when you sit down, you can just get right to it and you won't have to go looking for anything? Another way to prepare ahead of time is to guard your space. Close the door, turn off the TV, silence your phone, all of these things. And then lastly, with preparing ahead of time, and this is perhaps the most important, especially if you're busy, and that is making sure that you know exactly what you'll do for at least the first few minutes of practice. So do you warm up with some scales or with an exercise? Do you do a warm up and a stretch? Like what exactly, when you sit down and pick up the guitar, what exactly do you do? That's going to save you tons of time, because if you have to decide right in the moment, then it's done. You just as soon go do something else, because that friction will stop you from actually practicing some days. So instead, always know exactly what you're going to practice for the first 5-10 minutes. Big mistake number 2, and that's playing too fast too soon. Especially if you only have a few minutes, you're going to sit down and say, I'm going to play fast. I've only got 20 minutes. I better play really fast, get all these notes in. What that does is it can lead to inflamed knuckles, tendinitis, which is an issue with inflamed tendons. It can really lead to some damage with your hands, and then it's going to hurt, and you won't be wanting to play tomorrow. So instead, warm up intentionally, keep it slow at first. Instead of going for speed, go for clarity, placement right behind the fret, consistency of where you play on your fingertips, both hands. And so there's other things to worry about besides speed. Instead of speed, go for quality in all of those other ways. Number 3, only playing pieces and not working on technique. We need to work on our technique. And what is technique? The technique is what we were just talking about, which is how do I use my left hand? How do I use my right hand? How do I make the music be able to go loud and go soft? We can't just work on only pieces and expect to get better over time. We'll keep the exact same problems and just be playing harder pieces, and so it'll just start sounding worse and worse with the music that we play. So to push our music forward, then we need to spend at least some time working on our actual skills and our abilities and pushing those, riding that edge of hard but not too hard. So practicing only pieces, big mistake in practice. Number 4, not working to make specific things better. So another way of saying this would be not addressing problems. We need to solve problems in practice. That's one of the big parts of practice. One of the most efficient uses of our time is solving problems. So if we're playing a piece and something's happening, oh, that's really messy when I land on that note. What am I gonna do? That's a problem. And so instead of just playing through it and hoping that it gets fixed later or that it will just clean itself up over time, zeroing in and saying, no, what exactly is going on? Why am I getting that? Why is that messy right there? And figuring out exactly what the problem is. It's from this note to this note. That's my issue. And to do it, I need to make this particular solution, be it a change in the hand position or getting closer to the fret, or it's a right hand issue. We just have to find a particular solution for all of these little problems, and then the piece works itself out. But it's a mistake not to stop and take the time to find those solutions. So solving problems, that's what practice is. And that brings us to 5, which is related to this, and that is mindless repetition. Just playing something over and over while our mind wanders. Ideally, in a perfect world, every single repetition that we make, Every time we play something through, let's say I'm working on these scales that I was playing earlier. If I just play that and then I'm thinking, yeah, after this I'm gonna need to go to the grocery store, then I'm gonna need to go over to the hardware store, that's not good practice because we're not actually focused on what it is that we're doing. It's mindless. And so instead, ideally, when we're playing anything, especially on the repetitions, when we're playing it more than once, each repetition needs to have really clear goals behind it. For instance, I really want to feel the fret under my fingertips on every single note. And so now I'm actually feeling for that. My attention is there right with it. Or in this one, I'm putting accents on these notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3. It's just a particular set of accents. But I know what they are, and it's a guideline for what is right, what is correct in this moment. It's something to focus on. So no mindless repetition. Number 6, polishing shiny objects. If you've worked out all the problems on something and you're just playing it through in your practice time, you're not really practicing, you're playing. And playing is great, and playing is why we practice. But it's good to know, am I practicing or am I playing? I've got 20 minutes today to do this. Am I gonna play or am I gonna practice? And it could be one or the other. It could be that you practice for 15 minutes and then play for 5 minutes, but you should know, now I'm playing, now I'm practicing. Because just playing is not actually practicing. Playing through the same thing that you've been playing for years and just playing it to hear it is not good practice. Not even for warm up, honestly, because chances are you're not really putting your attention and setting yourself up for the second thing that you do. So a better way to warm up is to really intentionally warm up with something else, like technique work. So save your playing for playing time and make time for playing. But when you're practicing, practice. And the number 7 biggest mistake that you might be making, and please don't make, is negative self-talk. It's whenever we're sitting here practicing and we're thinking, you know what? I should be practicing more than I practice. I should have practiced yesterday and I didn't practice yesterday. I should have more than 20 minutes right now. Or I'm 50 years old. I should be better at guitar overall than now. I've totally wasted my guitar life because I didn't practice more when I was 30. All these things that we can just drill ourselves with, or I don't have any. There's so many different negative things we can say to ourselves, and it's the least helpful thing that we could possibly do. One, it's taking our attention away from something that could actually be working for us, like paying attention to what we're doing, such as the finger placement, the accents, the right hand technique, and how we're using our hands, like a million things that are so wonderful to think about. And instead, sometimes we feel guilty or nervous, or we're imagining some future scenario that's not really all that positive. We're regretting something. Such a waste of time and so toxic to the whole environment. Instead, just be grateful that you have this time to play the guitar and that you can do something you can get out of your head, get into your hands, focus on something specific. It's such meaningful work. It's a greater pleasure than just about anything else around. So these have been 7 big mistakes that people sometimes make in their practice, and you can avoid them now that you know about them and have much better practices. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe to this channel. And if you would like to practice even better, we have a whole program just for you. It's called the Woodshed Classical Guitar Program, and you can find out more about it at the link below, or come over to Classical Guitar Shed and get some more info over there. Have a lovely practice today and every day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.